Greetings. This is Prescott Talks with your host today, David McNabb on Prescott E-News. Our guest today is Luke Cilano, and the organization that he's going to be talking about is Lions of Liberty. I want you to know about that. So thank you for being my guest and coming on the show here today.
Thanks for having me.
With this, Luke. And first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
I'm actually a native. I'm a native Prescottonian. I was born here in Prescott. I went to Miller Valley Elementary School.
Really?
And I actually went to Mile High, just down the street here.
Miller Valley is just a memory now.
Oh, it is.
Darn.
They destroyed the building. It was terrible.
I hate that. Now, how did you get involved with political matters here in Prescott?
Oh gosh. Well, I've watched politics my whole life. When you're in a small area, a small town like this, it's kind of hard to avoid. It's always there. There's always who's the mayor, or who's this guy, or remembering all the big news when it hits the TV, stuff like that. But I avoided it as much as I could. I really didn't enjoy politics. I didn't like, I used to sit with my parents and I would watch my dad get all angry at, we'd be reading a newspaper or something like that, or listening to the radio. We grew up without a TV. So.
No wonder you're such a bright guy. I knew it was something.
No, that is not the truth. No, I found every way that I could to watch movies, and I would get sucked into it. Anyway, so we didn't have a TV, so it was always the radio or the newspaper. And I always used to watch. My dad would, he would notice something about a politician that he had voted for. The earliest recollection I have of being lied to, of course, was the elder George H.
Mm-hmm.
I will not raise taxes, gets in office and raises taxes.
Right.
And I was little, I was maybe 10. I didn't know, all of the ins and outs of politics or any of that stuff. All I knew was this guy lied, and that's not okay. And I don't like that. And they all lie. And I despised politics. And then, I got to a point in my life, here within the last couple of years, where I was on my knees, I was in prayer, and I'm talking to God, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? I know you have this goal for me, you have this plan for my life. Where do you want me? Right. Mm-hmm. At the time I was the head of the men's ministry at a local church. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is my calling, and pastoral, and, helping people and doing things like that. And guiding men in different things, and, doing men's breakfasts and Bible studies, and the door closed. I mean, just supernaturally the door closed, and it was God was like, I want you in this group. And we joined. The group at the time was a different group. It wasn't Lions of Liberty. It was something else. And we joined, and they asked me to be the MC, or basically the face of the organization.
The spokesman.
Yeah, essentially the spokesman. It was it became very evident that I was more than a spokesman. I was kind of kind of like the leader. I didn't view myself as a leader in that regard, and I didn't really think that I was in control of the group, but it started to feel that way. It's what happens when you're the MC. When you're the spokesman and you're up in front of everybody all the time, and you're the one saying the divisive things. People aren't looking at the rest of the board. People are looking at the guy that stands up, and says it. If you've ever seen any of the, if you've ever seen any of the Marvel movies, the Iron Man movies, right? Nobody cares about, the rest of Tony Stark's team, right? They care about Tony Stark, right? Because he's the one in front of everybody talking. Yeah. And so it kind of had that feel. I didn't feel that way, but it kind of had that feel. There was some jumbling within the board, and we found out that we had some people on the board that were less than honest, is the nice way of putting it. Mm-hmm. And we ended up, that entire organization, one person dissolved the entire board overnight. Wow. And it was just like, what are we going to do? This is, we're moving forward. We've got influence on these different people. We're talking to these different people. We're getting information out to the public. We had our meetings. We were hitting about 250, 300 people meeting at our meetings. We had the voice, and then this stuff happened, and this person made this decision, and literally undermined the whole thing in one decision. And it was a Thursday that happened, and I remember I was at home that night, and I was once again in prayer. It's where I go. It's a safe place. It's where I go.
That's where we all should go.
And I'm in prayer, and I got this impression. I had somebody ask me once. They said, "Well, you hear God speak?" And I said, "Well, I have heard God speak audibly, but most of the time it's just an impression that lines up with the Word of God. That's how it goes." And I was in prayer, and I got this impression that what we are doing, we can't stop. And I called up my brother, and I said, I really feel, impressed in my spirit that what we have, we need to not stop. We need to keep going. People need to hear what we're putting forward, this message. I said, "What do you think?" And he goes, I agree. And I said, "Well, we need a board then." And we called two of the other gentlemen that were on that board. They are Brian and Bruce Mounsey. They're twins. Bruce has a chiropractic office out in Chino, and Brian is I think he's semi-retired. And then we have another gentleman named James, and that's the five of us. We that night started Lions of Liberty, and I know that it was God, because that it was more God than more supernatural than I believe that it was divinely inspired, because everything fell together. We didn't have a name. We're like, let's do this. What are we going to call it?
Yes.
And we were like, well, we want something that's going to have a punch. We want something that is going to have some chutzpah to it, but at the same time, we want something that is going to be very clear. And something that rings back to our founding, to our forefathers. And one of the people, one of our advisory people, I believe actually it was Brian's fiance, Sherry. She goes, "What about Lions of Liberty?" And we all just, one of those pause moments, we all just looked at each other and we're like, "That's it," Nice. And then as divine inspiration goes, I went home, sat down on the computer, pulled up the machine and created the logo in about 15 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, that whole thing came out just out of nowhere.
Great.
And then as we sat down, it's like, well, we need a mission statement. And so we start texting back and forth. And then once again, Brian, swing for the fences, comes out with our mission. So our mission statement actually is almost 100% written by Brian Mounsey. And he did a phenomenal job on it. We all added a couple of things, but since then, of course, we've added 2 board members. So we now have a 7-man board. And unlike the previous organization, our board is very clearly seven men. There is no one leader. I am the face, yes, but I'm not the leader of the organization. I'm the spokesman, but I don't have any more vote than anyone else on the board. And we did that very clearly on purpose, because as a Christian conservative organization, we are supposed to be following God or Christ. And then on top of that, we are supposed to be equal in this. Our founding fathers wrote it very clearly. We believe that all men are created equal, and hold these, and then of course you add in any of these times we hold all of these things to be self-evident. You can put all those together and you make one speech out of it. But that's where it came from, and that's how it became. And we're just moving. I mean, it is amazing the influence that we've had in just the short. We're coming up on, we're not even a year old yet as an organization.
When will you be a year old?
We will be a year old as of officially meeting dates in January, but we officially formed in November. Or October, end of October.
Formed in October. Started meeting in January.
Started meeting in January. We had it sit for about 2 months. So October essentially would be would be our first birthday.
Okay.
Essentially. So
Yes, I'm glad you told us how you got the name. I was going to ask you that, and you were ahead of me.
it's how it goes. You know, like I said earlier before the camera started rolling, an interviewer interviewing an interviewer.
Yes,
So it's you know, I know where to go with it.
Well,
so.
It's a really neat organization. You start out with an invocation.
Yes.
And you have Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
Followed by the national anthem.
Every time.
So you're combining a nationalism, a loyalty to the country with loyalty to Christ.
Absolutely.
Loyalty
to Christ first.
Yes. And so that's the center. And then the country comes after that. But you have done a lot of political forums with candidates.
Yes.
Since we have elections going on here. We had the primaries and now the next month we'll have the general election. And so you had a lot of people that. What did you do before the candidates? What were you?
So before the election, it was more along the lines of just getting the word out for the things within the government that are a problem. We're sitting here in our world, and we're looking at, you can sit down and you don't even have to pick up a newspaper, right? You can turn on your email. And depending on your email server, you'll get all that news, right? Or at least all the headlines. I don't read the news. I avoid it. But I read through the headlines, and you can look at it and you can say, we've got some problems here. Our world is in an upside down place. Yeah. Things that were once black and white are no longer black and white. Right. And the waters have been muddied. Mm-hmm. And so our organization, the goal of our organization, first and foremost, is to clear those waters. To bring truth back into the world. We live in a moral universe. There is right, there is wrong. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. That is the truth, and the truth. The Bible says the truth shall set you free, and that's where we're focused on is the truth, and then pushing that truth forward. When it comes into the candidate forums, we want to pick candidates that are going to be truthful. But before candidates and after candidates, when the election is over, we're going to continue to plug forward, putting forth what the truth is. Okay.
So how much do you endorse candidates?
As of this moment, we have only endorsed one candidate for state senate. Unfortunately, he lost the election in the primary. We endorsed Steve Zipperman. And then currently we've endorsed a triad, essentially 3 people running for Prescott School Board. They are official endorsements. We have some other unofficial endorsements. Obviously we're in support of the conservative MAGA ticket, I guess is the best way to put it. Along with the state, you have we're endorsing essentially Carrie Lake. We're behind Carrie Lake. Blake Masters, Eli Crane. Eli Crane, I know personally, great guy.
I'm very impressed with Eli Crane.
He, when it comes to integrity, and it's something that we talk about a lot in our Lines of Liberty, and you can see all of our stuff online if you miss a meeting or whatnot. But I talk a lot about integrity, and the reason for that is because when you go to a church or you go to a political rally, or you go to a group, you have a president of an organization, whatever it may be. Why is this person speaking? Why should I listen to them? What's the importance of that? And what I believe that boils down to is that integrity of that person. Why should I listen to this pastor just because he has a name pastor, right? I mean, how many times have we heard stories of pastors doing things that are like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's because of the integrity of the man. And with Eli, he's shown that integrity to us a couple of times. He actually stood up before our meeting at our last meeting this last Saturday and publicly apologized to the entire group.
I was there. I heard
for
that.
Something he had said. And so that's a matter of integrity. So when it comes to
you don't hear that very often, especially among politicians.
You really don't. No, you really don't. And so when it comes to politicians, when it comes to anybody in that regard, if Lines of Liberty is to put an endorsement or to put our quote unquote backing behind someone, first and foremost, it's a matter of integrity. Second, we go through a ridiculous level of vetting. I have conversations with these people. The board has conversations with these people, either independently or together. They'll come. We invite people. If you want an endorsement, come sit before the board. At one of our board meetings, and we will grill you. And when we say we're going to grill you, it's not a nice grilling. We ask hard questions. And we try and stump you, and we put you in, try and get you on edge. Because I want to see the real you. Politicians are really good about putting on a face. I want to know the real person.
Yes.
I put forward, this is Luke, right? Luke is Luke. You know me for 5 minutes. You know who I am. Which is the great thing, if accusations, of course, come in life, and somebody goes, "What? I know him. That's malarkey." That is what I want. I want that from these people, and that was the thing with Eli. That was the thing with Steve Zipperman. Steve Zipperman hounded me to no end. He would not leave me alone. And then when we cornered him, we sat him down. The board sat him down, and we grilled him for close to 5 hours.
Wow.
And he took it and chewed it up and just went through it. So
that's incredible.
So yeah, we go through the process. But two of the things that are part of our mission statement: one, we will not apologize for what we have to do to win this fight, whatever it is. And two, how we ended it is we they say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yes.
So when we finished our mission statement, we ended with the last line in the Declaration of Independence. To this end, we pledge our lives, our liberties, and our sacred honors.
Yes.
And we all have signed that. And so those are the two parts that I've memorized. The rest is good. It's important. But the most important is I've pledged my life, my liberty, my fortunes, and my sacred honor.
Yes.
I have pledged that for this fight. And we see ourselves as patriots, and we see ourselves as like the founding fathers. If I have to go down with this ship, I'll go down with the ship. But we have to do what we have to do, because the next generations won't have anything if we don't fight now.
That's right. Now, what are your future objectives?
So our main goal, our main future objective right now, we did a little shift, is what we need, what we're asking for are people that are interested in running for public office. We want them to come out of the woodwork now. We are 2 years out of the 2024 election. We want them to come out now. We already have in place people that are willing to help train and teach, so that when these people run for office, they're not running blind. When they get in office, they're not going to be entering the office not knowing the job. And so we want to train people. We want to prepare them for office. We want them to be ready for running, what it's going to be like to be part of a campaign, the rigors of the campaign, and then of course, holding truth to their integrity and being who they are. If we're able to have a candidate for, say, Board of Supervisors coming up in 2024, and we've already been putting their name out within the circles. We've already done a piece on them in the news. We've already had them speak before Lions of Liberty and other groups. When the election rolls around in 2024, the name's already out there. They're a known commodity, and we can all get behind them. There's nothing worse than, I'm looking at the local Yavapai Republican Committee is so disjointed. We're coming together on unity now, but that's after the primary. After 6, 9, 10, 12 months of cutthroat, back and forth between these politicians, they get through the primary, and now we're supposed to go fight the other side, and we're half bleeding and dying. And so that's what we're looking at, is we want to change that so that when the primary rolls around, we've already had our primary. We know who we're putting forward. This is the person we're backing. This is what we're doing. Not only are we backing them, we're supporting them.
Good.
They have a base. They have funds. And then they have, once again, they have those people that have either been in those positions or know the rules and the law that can train them on those. I actually have one of the Board of Supervisors agreed to help help us teach somebody, some, new people coming, what it is to be a board of supervisors, what that job entails, what is part of that, the rigors that goes into that, and that also opens up the communication and keeps the power, right? It keeps the power with the people.
Yeah.
Right? The politician is not supposed to be in charge. Right? The people behind the politician are supposed to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
The politician is supposed to be a conduit. And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that are willing to step into this, but still hear us when we say, what are you doing? We have a number of things in our area right now that are, I'm in a fight with Chino Valley, over my property and my zoning, right? It's like, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do this, because of this weird thing. And so that's one of those things is we want the power to be back to the people. We want the people to have that voice again.
Excellent. Very commendable goals there, brother. I appreciate
We're trying.
Appreciate what you do there. Tell us when and where you meet, or I should say, where and when does Lions of Liberty meet?
Lions of Liberty meets every third Saturday of the month. Currently, we're meeting at the Prescott Vibe Event Center out by the airport. It is an event center, though, so that's, we have a contract of sorts. But it's up for a toss-up. So it's every third Saturday, currently at 10 a.m. It may move. We're not sure yet. But you can find everything about our meetings, even the recorded meetings of the past meetings, all of our information. We're currently doing a ballot watch drop operation. So starting when the ballot boxes are opened for this next election, we are going to have people all throughout Yavapai County 24/7, hanging out at the drop boxes, watching the drop boxes, making sure that that things are done properly. So we're not engaging anyone. We're just standing there taking pictures. But we had the discussion with the sheriff, and he knows what we're doing.
Yes.
And he's willing to take our evidence and run with it if we see it is illegal to put more than one ballot in the drop box.
Right.
And so that's something that we're seeing. It's like this is a need, so we're gonna put up that need. So we have a number of volunteers. People can all sign up on our website. It's thelionsofliberty.com.
Gotcha.
It's got all of our logos and everything on there.
Well, that's a real good effort that you're doing there. Is that countywide?
That is countywide. Yep, all 19 drop boxes for the entirety of 30 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you do for the community.
I appreciate it.
I just appreciate you and the Lions of Liberty organization.
Thank you.
All the board members and all the work that they do to do everything that you're doing and accomplish these goals that you've set. So Luke
it's a tall order.
This has been Luke Cilano and myself, David McNabb, on this issue of Prescott Talks. Thank you so much for tuning in, and come back again whenever you can. God bless.